This is the PCB of a Nvidia RTX 4060, and just by looking at it, it's immediately obvious that we are not looking at a mid-range 60 class card. Everything about it screams low end. Maybe you already noticed the comically small PCI Express connector, which is restricted to only 8 lanes. And even if you see a RTX 4060 with a full-length connector, it doesn't change the fact that only half of it is electrically functional. Next, we have the insanely simple VRM layout, which is a result of the low 115 watt CDP. There's nothing wrong with low power usage in general, but this simple VRM is another strong indication that we are looking at a low-end graphics card. Then there's the video memory, with only 4 GDDR6 memory modules connected to a small 128-bit interface. At current price levels, these 8GB of VRAM most likely cost less than $30. And last but certainly not least, there's the tiny sub 150 square millimeter GPU die. Even if the reduced PCI Express bandwidth, the super simple power setup, or the pocket money memory system didn't convince you, the GPU itself is all we need to conclude that this is not actually a true RTX 4060, at least not when comparing it to the previous Nvidia 60 class cards. Let's take a closer look at what's going on here, because I actually think there's a good chance this card was initially developed as a RTX 4050. Over the past generations, Nvidia has always used the same codenames for their GPU lineup. The lower the chip number, the bigger and more powerful the chip. The current Ada Lovelace generation consists of 5 different GPUs: 8102, 8103, 8104, 8106 and 8107. Nvidia 60 class cards always have been mainstream mid-range models. Very capable gaming cards and certainly not entry-level GPUs, something that was reserved for the 50 and 30 class cards. With this in mind, it's actually unbelievable that the RTX 4060 is based on the currently lowest tier chip, 8107. Just that fact alone shows it's not a mid-range card. Nvidia doesn't even produce a slower current gen GPU at the moment. It's the very bottom. It's literally the first time Nvidia is using a low-end 107 chip for a 60 class GPU. All previous 107 chips in recent history were used for 50 class cards. The GTX 750 and 750 Ti based on the Maxwell generation GM107. The very successful GTX 1050 and 1050 Ti based on GP107. When Nvidia made a switch to the RTX generation, the 50 class cards didn't even follow at first. GTX 1650 and 1650 Ti were based on the TU117, which didn't support ray tracing. And the RTX 3050 initially even launched on a cut-down version of the GA106 chip, before being switched to GA107. The RTX 4060 is the first 60 class product based on such a low-end GPU, and this is by design. Just like Nvidia tried to brand the RTX 4070 Ti as a RTX 4080 12GB, which was cancelled because of too much community backlash, they now try selling us a 4050 or 4050 Ti as a 4060, but this time it worked. I'm sure if the initial backlash would have been stronger, we would have seen another rebrand and the 4060 would have launched as a 4050 Ti with a lower MSRP, but it didn't. With Ada Lovelace, Nvidia switched to a much improved TSMC 5nm process node, which offers a drastically increased transistor density. But while Nvidia used this advantage to design powerful GPUs in the high end, like the RTX 4090, which is over 70% faster than its predecessor, lower tier cards don't get any of the advantage, at least not on the consumer facing side. Nvidia just used the improved node to design super tiny chips with increased margins. That's why the 4060 only ends up around 10% faster than the 3060 if the ReRAM doesn't run out. The RTX 3060 has a chip with almost twice the die size, a 50% larger memory interface, 50% more ReRAM, and a full PCI Express X16 bus. It's almost funny to compare them. The disappointing RTX 4060 benchmarks and the bad reviews are not because Nvidia couldn't deliver progress this generation. It's for the simple fact that Nvidia is selling you a RTX 4050 with a 4060 branding. It really seems like this generation Nvidia did everything to create huge and powerful GPUs for the top of the lineup and then decided to completely screw all customers who usually buy mid-range products by selling them low-end chips with a new name. And it makes me scared to think what Nvidia will try to sell us as a RTX 4050, because a 64-bit memory interface and PCI Express X4 seem to be the next logical step. I'd love to know what you think about this shrinkflation, where the branding doesn't really fit to what's inside the product. because AMD's offering are not that much better in terms of value. Do you think we have to get used to being offered the lowest tier chips branded as mid-range GPUs? Let me know in the comments down below. If you are tired to hear about Nvidia's horrible low-end chips, check out my RTX 4090 deep dive, because 8102 is actually a monster of a chip. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.